right, everybody. Got another episode for you. Welcome to the JP Show. JP, how you doing today, man?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Doing great, man. I just got to say, kicking this one off, I've been having a lot of fun doing these episodes with you and getting a chance to hear some of your thoughts about basketball and all the knowledge that you have. And it's been great hearing you talk about it.
I agree with that. It's it's very fun to get the opportunity to do this with you as my dad, and I appreciate you doing this with me and hearing your
Absolutely.
topics.
Absolutely. For those of y'all in the audience, I know we do these episodes maybe every couple of weeks or so, but JP is always like, every time I see him, he's like, hey, we should do a show tonight. Let's cover this. Let's cover this. Let's talk
I
about this
love
on the
it.
show.
I love it, man.
It's fun. It's fun. So for today's show, a couple things we want to talk about. First, we're recording this on Friday night. The All-Star game, the NBA All-Star game was this last Sunday, and JP, you and I watched it together. We watched some of the All-Star weekend with the dunk contest and everything. So maybe we can start off with just some of your thoughts about the All-Star game and that weekend before we get into our main topic for today. What you think?
Well, there are a ton of highlights. There's a ton of
Kind of,
offense.
kind of, yeah,
The defense non-existent as usual.
yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. Like the All-Star games, at least from when I was a kid watching them, they always didn't have a lot of defense. But this one, like Jaylen Brown said after the game, it was like a glorified layup drill line. That's what I mean. Literally, guys were just kind of watching
Just a
everybody.
just a layup line, and then the next a
Yeah,
3-point contest. Like,
yeah,
jeez.
yeah. I don't know. And JP, you and I talked like, should our topic be about how to fix it? Neither one of us really know how to fix it. Uh, I mean, I know guys are scared about getting injured, so that's part of why they
That's
don't play
understandable.
hard.
That's
Right.
fair.
Game is different now. You know, guys are getting paid a lot of money. There's a lot of risk on the line for injuries. So I get that, but yeah, I don't know how to fix it.
Like, do you think the NBA could just give players a break before the All-Star break, or have the All-Stars just sit out while their teams still play their games?
It's an idea, but I don't think the teams wouldn't want their stars sitting out and then having games that actually count being missing the stars. So I don't think they'd want that. And I don't think they want to have a breaking games too long because they want to have the viewership rolling. Um, I mean, I know we're not going to talk about all about ideas, but the one thing I say is they should go back to just East versus West instead of the whole Team LeBron versus Team Giannis. Just
Yeah, they should
go
just stick
East
with the
West.
best players in the East and the best players in the West.
Yeah, just maybe go back to that and let some of it. I mean, it's complicated. There's a lot of rivalries are different in the league now than it used to be. The super team thing. There's a lot of reasons, but again, I don't know how to fix it. But yeah, it was a little disappointing.
I also think for the All-NBA, and it sounds weird, but I think they should just scrap the whole guards, forwards, and centers and just have the top 5 players in one All-NBA team, the next top 5 being the All-NBA second team, because then there'll be less
100%.
opportunities for snubs like Embiid last year.
Yeah, 100%. Same for the All NBA team and the All Stars. It should be positionless and just
Yeah.
the top players. No, I'm 100% agree. Yeah. Good, good. What do you think about the dunk contest though?
Who was that dude? This nobody came out of nowhere and then put up some of the craziest dunks I've seen since like 2016.
It was nice with it.
Matt McClung.
Nice with it.
Who was that?
I saw a lot of clips. Like he used to do that in high school. Like he was a beast in high school, jumping out the gym, and yeah. So he knew what he was doing. He came in ready. Yeah, he made all his dunks the first attempt. Because that's the thing that's annoying, seeing guys just like try it and it doesn't work. Then when they finally make it, it's like we already saw you try it, so who cares
It
at this
kind
point?
it
So
just ruins the feel. So now that we gave our thoughts on the All-Star break, let's get into today's topic.
the main topic for today. You want to introduce this one?
So while most of the praise for great NBA teams goes to the players,
Mhm.
and while they do play a big role in that, the coach on the team is the main piece, the blueprint, the glue that keeps the team together. And I feel like the coaches don't give enough credit nowadays.
I agree.
With
No,
that,
I agree 100%. Yeah.
and with that being said, how about we talk? How about today's topic be about the top 5 coaches in NBA history?
Top 5 NBA history. And we going to count them down, right?
That's right.
All right. Top 5 coaches, NBA history, regardless of era, the NBA league history. Let's do this. So we both got our lists here. Got my paper ready to go. And we'll just alternate going down top 5, and we'll switch order each time, each round going down. So let's start with number 5. You go first on number 5. Who's your number 5 coach of all time?
My number 5 pick is the coach of the reigning champs, Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr. Okay, nice pick there, Steve Kerr. All right. For me at number 5, I got the coach of the bad boys, Chuck Daly. Is that number 5 for me? Yeah. All right. And then, okay, so we'll switch orders. So now next time, this is my number 4 then. Chuck Daly, I got number 5, coach of the Pistons. Then number 4 all time, I got Pat Riley. When you look at what he did with the Lakers, look at what he did, the Knicks and the Heat. I got Pat Riley at number 4.
My number 4 pick is probably the first all-time great coach of all time, Red Auerbach.
Okay.
The coach of the Celtics, coach of the Celtics dynasty in the 60s.
Nice. All right. You got a lot of rings there. So you got Steve Kerr 5. My number 4 pick. I'm sorry, I already gave my number 4 pick.
Yeah, 3, right?
So yeah, my number 3 pick is Red Auerbach. So that's who I actually had at number 3. So we're not too far off from each other there. So we're at number 3. All right.
Like you said, our lists are pretty similar, and my number 3 guy is Pat Riley.
Okay, just kind of flipping the order. Okay, you got Pat. So now we're down to number 2. You go first for number 2. Is that right?
Yes.
I'm already getting confused in order. Yeah, okay. You go ahead. You're number 2.
My number 2 pick is Greg Pop. 5 rings, right. Coach of a Spurs team that was dominating the league for nearly 20 years.
These lists are close. Okay. My number 2 is also Pop. So these lists are very close. I mean, we don't have to argue on it. And I think that means we know what we both got number 1. I got Phil at number 1.
I got Phil at number 1. That's okay. Right.
All right. So you got Phil number 1. So we'll talk about audible mentions. Let's talk about some of these coaches also. But just recapping, so our top 2 were exactly the same. We both had Phil and Pop 1 and 2. Number 3, I had Red. Number 3, you had Pat. And then flipped it back over. I had Pat number 4. You had Red number 4, right? And then where we're different is number 5, I got Chuck Daly and you got Steve Kerr, right?
All right.
Yep. I mean, not much of an argument here. Our top 4 is almost identical. I'll give my reasons for Chuck Daly. And I'll admit just straight up, this is some Detroit bias. I think some other people might not put Chuck as high if you're looking strictly at NBA. But I look at what he did in the 80s before they won a chip and what he did with the talent that was there and building it up, building that team up, really giving that team an identity and then winning chips. And if you look at the competition that team had to go through in the East from a talent perspective, when you look at the Celtics, when you look at 76ers, look at just how they had the Bulls, how they had to come through in the East and then beating the Lakers, beating the Blazers. I got Chuck up there. Then on top of that, you got to look at the Dream Team and being able to then completely flip the script. That's a totally different team than the Pistons were built with all those stars. Had never been done before. Now, you can look at other coaches like Coach K and people that have done this stuff and Pop, but what he did with the Dream Team had never been done before. To take those personalities of Bird and Magic and Michael Jordan and Stockton and Zeke, who should have been there, but he wasn't there. But you take all those people,
That's the time for another day.
you
We're
take
not
all
talking about
those.
that right now.
That's right. You know how we feel about Zeke. But you take all those personalities, and he was able to put it together. So yeah, that's my argument for having Chuck number 5. Go ahead and give your argument for having Steve Kerr in there, number 5.
Before I start, I got nothing against Chuck Daly. I'm
Yeah.
from Michigan myself, so I love the Pistons.
Yeah.
And for Daly, he's probably my 6th on my list.
Okay.
He'd be 5th or 6th for me.
Okay.
However, as Warriors fan, I know we love to give credit to Steph, Clay, and Draymond, but Steve Kerr's offense and the way he was able to utilize multiple personalities like Steph and Clay, his run and gun kind of offense was a perfect fit with Steph and Clay's 3-point shooting.
Yeah.
And putting KD into that mix and the way he was able to handle multiple personalities and being able to win 2 championships like that, that's something that's really hard to do and something most coaches might not be able to work.
Yeah. No, Kerr is up there, and we're going to talk about honorable mentions here. The thing that probably pushes him up into that top 5, where I probably should have had it in there, is the chip that they won last year on a team that was not as talented as they were. They had a lot of injuries there, different rotation. When you think about it, they've won with a few different, like 3 different rosters. It's almost a level of Pop, which of course he came from under Pop, and that whole mentality. That's his coaching trait. But Pop with the Spurs was able to win over different eras with different rosters built around that Spurs team. Yeah, no, Kerr is up there. So let's get into. Go ahead.
That last championship, which I was going to get into, that's the best championship the Warriors won. Yeah, because for the Warriors to do that, to go through multiple injuries, to go through all of that through 2020 to 2021, then to rebuild that team, build a new roster around them against tough competition in the playoffs, and then to win a championship like that, that's an amazing feat. Yeah. And I feel like it doesn't give enough credit nowadays.
I'll give Kerr his props. So before that championship, a knock that I may have had against him would have been that Mark Jackson kind of built that team and that identity before Kerr got there. And then when you threw KD into the mix, it wasn't even fair. You could have said that before last year. At this point, you can't argue that anymore. What he did last year to win that chip, you're spot on, JP, on winning that. So you can't argue that. So who you got in your honorable mention list? I have 3 coaches that are in my honorable mentions. That weren't in my top 5, but who's your honorable mentions?
Well, I have 3 coaches too, and I already mentioned Chuck Daly.
Got it.
My second coach in the honorable mentions is Larry Brown.
Okay. Yeah.
And my third coach is Jerry Sloan.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It's a nice list there. Okay. So for me, my honorable mention, I have Steve Kerr in my honorable mention. We've talked about him a lot there. Really, he probably should be up in the top 5. Have him there. I also have Larry Brown in mind. And I mentioned it's not just about Detroit bias there. That chip you won with Detroit was great. But, I mean, I think he won a Coach of the Year when he was with the 76ers, I believe. And he's taken a bunch of different teams to the playoffs and kind of he's been able to get kind of overperformance out of some rosters that really shouldn't have done what they did. Now, so I give Larry Brown a lot of props.
I think people know about Larry Brown as a great coach, but what's been understated is how he loved to build. Yeah. He's been able to take bad teams and make them good.
Exactly.
what he did in Detroit, he took a good team and made it a championship team.
Yeah.
So I think if he was on an average or good team, he would have won more titles then.
It's fair. Totally fair. Yep. And then my last honorable mention, you had Jerry Sloan. I don't know if I mentioned it. I do not like the Utah Jazz. Never did. Don't like Karl Malone. I've mentioned my Stockton hate.
I
So
don't either.
So I'm not. Yeah.
I like John
Mine,
Stockton. I like Karl Malone, but I didn't
mine
want
is
to
Lenny
disrespect him.
Wilkens. Lenny Wilkens is who I have in there. The all-time winningest coach. You know, he didn't have the chips. He didn't have the rings, but all-time winningest coach won over just a really long period of time as far as different eras, different players. You know, I got Lenny Wilkens in there as my next honorable mention on my list.
Yeah, that's a nice pick. But again, I don't like the Jazz. The only Jazz player in history I like is Andre Kirilenko. That's it.
Yeah. And that specifically is the 90s, the 80s and 90s Jazz that I didn't like. Yeah. But yeah, our lists were pretty close. Looking at our top 5 and even our honorable mentions, we were pretty close all the way down. So yeah, it was a good topic. We didn't have too many arguments on it, but yeah, it was good.
At least we could agree on something.
You got it. So I think that's it for this episode. Maybe we'll do our trivia episode next in the next one that we do. We'll see.
You got to get those questions ready. I'm waiting for you.
I gotta dig for some good questions because you know a lot. So I gotta find some hard ones for you. So we'll get there. We gotta get there. All right. All right. You want to sign us off today? Peace. See y'all next episode.
See ya.